What's good, my people? I'm glad to be back. Today, we're going to go over this card for UFC Vegas 120 Gamrot versus Salkilld. And I'm pretty excited for this card because overall, it does have some good matchups on it. I know it's at the Apex, boo. Not a lot of people like that, but hey, still, at the end of the day, all I care about is the fights. Let's go ahead and get right into this breakdown. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and get into this first exciting bout of the night. Let's talk about Miller versus Oliveira. So first of all, as you can see on the record right here, this girl 4-4. Not really a good looking record, but she do got some pretty good skills on the ground overall. Then we got Oliveira, who has a kind of a better of a record, 7-4. But if you really look into her wins, it's really against trash cans, girls that are 0-0, 0-1, 1-0. I mean, these girls have no experience. Of course, she's running through them. And I guess that's a good way to gain experience. But once she reached the UFC level, she has not had no type of success. But Miller does have really good grappling. She's gone against really good girls like Bia Mosquito, Fatima Klein, and things like that in the grappling. So some really good experience there. And she was able to show it in her last fight against Carly Judice, where she was able to get some control time. And, I feel like here in this fight, she definitely can get a finish. Now, on the side of Oliveira, overall, she's pretty much primarily a striker. We saw her last fight that she does have a pretty big gap in her, in her defense whenever it comes down to getting down to the ground. Luciano did show that she has some good submission skills her last fight as well. But, overall, kind of a red flag there when you're facing a girl like Juliana Miller. She definitely, I feel like, does have the better BJJ than the girl like Luciano. Even though I feel like in that fight, Luciano might be able to mix it up more if they were to fight. But we're not talking about that shit. We talk about this fight. And for this fight, I'm going to go ahead and pick Miller. I do really like her here to win by submission. Or, her money line as well. But overall, I feel like she'll be able to get the finish and prove a point here. She showed her really good grappling skills versus Carly Judice. And here, I feel like she has less of a threat. This is a girl that's coming up from 115 up to 125. So even though, Oliveira does have, not that big of a difference whenever it comes down to the height, at least on Topology. I feel like she is going to be the smaller girl, and she has less power than a girl like Carly Judice. And you saw what Juliana Miller was able to do there in that fight. And I feel like here she'll be able to definitely wrap it up and either get to 5-4 by winning by a decision with control time, or even getting the finish here. I'm leaning more towards submission, so give me that shit. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, so next up we have Miles Johns versus Jesse Rosas. Of course, you guys probably know that this is a brother of, Raul Rosas. And then, of course, Miles Johns, a UFC veteran, short and stocky guy coming into this fight. He is a wrestler. He does like to pressure box and things like that. He likes to make it an entertaining fight sometimes as well. He's definitely had his moments in the last couple of fights. He's coming off with 3 losses, back to back to back, but it is against pretty good competition. Definitely has faced a higher level of competition and has a ton of UFC experience. In the UFC, he doesn't have the wins against the best guys, but overall, he's doing pretty good whenever it comes down to facing, I guess, the lower tier of competition within the UFC. Then we have Jesse Rosas. Overall, he does have some pretty smooth boxing. He likes to go to the body as well, which is something I really like seeing when it comes down to getting a guy against the cage, kind of attacking the body instead of just headhunting. Because overall, a guy's going to shell up and cover his face. You attack that body, it opens up, some good shots up top. So definitely a good way to mix it up. He can mix up some takedowns with that as well. Overall, I feel like he does have some pretty good skills, and I think he's going to be able to put it together. Now, in this fight, with it being on short notice and them both coming in on short notice, I don't know how these guys are gonna look, honestly. I haven't really checked up on them yet on the Instagram and things like that to see how they're looking. But we're gonna see in the on the weigh-ins, we're gonna see how they look. I do think overall, Jesse Rosas does have some pretty decent boxing, but his grappling overall is gonna be his main attack, where he tries to mainly attack when it comes down to the fights. And I feel like overall it's gonna be kind of hard to control a guy like Miles Johns, who does have that wrestling background. And even though his last fight, he did get submitted by Daniel Marcos. Daniel Marcos is pretty good. He has a really good record. I don't know why the UFC cut him. He's going to the PFL now. He's fighting in Tampa. I think it's like on the 22nd. And he's going to be fighting against really good competition there in the PFL because they already got him set up on a pretty good fight. But shit, I keep going on these side tangents. Anyways, we got Miles Johns here. I feel like here he's going to win this fight. He should definitely be the favorite. I see why he is the favorite. Right now, I think he's like at minus 165. And I don't think that's that bad, I don't think it's safe. I don't think you should play it if you're not that confident in it. But, hey, I think overall, I think he does win this fight, whether it's by a decision or even being able to catch Jesse Rosas here and proving a point, letting the world know that he's at the UFC level and that he belongs here. Because if he does lose this fight, he's cut from the UFC. Jesse Rosas still has a career in the UFC if he loses this fight, you know. I'm pretty sure they got him on a 3-fight contract, got him set up to win, you know, go a couple fights because of his brother and things like that. But overall, I mean, and his skills, I guess. But overall, I feel like Miles Johnson is more hungry coming to this fight. He knows what he has to do, defend the takedowns, make it a dirty fight, push forward. He's been in the Apex before. He has the experience. And overall, he definitely should win this fight. He can definitely drop it and get 4 in a row and, you know, go back somewhere else. Maybe the PFL signs him or something like that. You never know, because the way shit going over there, they trying to sign everybody. But shit, look, Miles Johnson for the win. I'm going to go ahead and pick him. Jesse Rosas, though, he is a pretty good prospect, and he does have some, you know, pretty good, solid skills. So this might actually be a fight that opens up the card. We have Gigi versus Carol, and this fight right here, honestly, was just added on to the card. So it actually might be a fight that opens up the card, but I'm going to go ahead and break this fight down. Overall, Gigi is primarily a grappler. If she's able to get you down to the ground, she is a pretty big threat there. She attacks submissions immediately when she gets you down to the ground. If you don't know, she's from The Ultimate Fighter. She actually the episode that just released this Tuesday, she lost her fight, and she got finished in the second round. In that fight, she did attack a submission, but she was unsuccessful because Melissa, the girl she faced, Melissa, that girl's a problem, like a problem. Y'all don't even know. If y'all don't know Melissa Amaya, y'all got to get right, man, and get with that girl. That girl is a problem. But overall, she did get finished in the second round. She did get ground and pounded out. And we saw in that fight, I mean, literally a fight that just happened like maybe a week ago whenever they recorded it. This girl has a gassing problem. If she don't get you out, it looked in that fight like she put her everything into that submission and she gassed herself out, and she pretty much didn't have anything in the second round. If you give up on like that on yourself against a girl like Carol, Carol will break you. This girl has some power bombs in the striking. Now, this is the only thing about this fight that kind of red flags me on Carol, because her last fight, she did get popped for performance enhancement, So, she did get popped for that. So that's why I'm not really interested in like betting in this fight unless the odds are pretty crazy or they're like pretty dead even. Definitely going on the side of Carol here because her striking is just like really good. She was able to beat up Chanel Dyer, like a really good striker herself. So this girl right here definitely has that pop in her hands, has that attack power. She definitely has some good, attributes to her fighting style. But overall, Gigi gassed out pretty bad. And that's a fight that just happened, like, literally, like, a week or two ago. I have seen Carol on Instagram. I follow her on Instagram. So I've been trying to kind of keep up with her. She still looks very explosive in her training and things like that. I don't think she lost that pop because of what she popped for. So overall, give me Carol for her. I feel like she definitely is the overall better striker here. That definitely is a fact. And for sure, she has more power in the hands. If it gets down to the ground, I've never seen her grappling get tested. So I'm interested in seeing what happens there. But give me Flora. And I do think, as always, she's super live for the knockout here in this fight. Both girls have been training, so I feel like they're both ready to go. And this is a pretty exciting women's matchup. Both these girls like to be on the forward, pressure. They both like to attack. So overall, this is going to be a really exciting bout. I'm excited to see what happens in this fight. They definitely made a good matchup for both these girls to debut in their first UFC debut. But, man, I definitely prefer the striking of Carol here in this fight. So give me Carol to win. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Another banger I'm excited they made last minute for this card. We have Manuel Sosa versus Richie Miranda. And, man, I really like both guys. Sosa, I watched him back in the Bellator days and things like that. Watched him participate in the PFL organization. So I've seen this guy fight even before pre-UFC. He came into the Contender Series, almost lost that fight, and came back, got a devastating knockout. Came in against Balaji Oki, got a devastating knockout. I mean, this guy overall has power in his hands and has some really good endurance. He definitely has power carrying even into the later rounds, so he's pretty impressive. He does come from a Muay Thai background. He's primarily a striker. He does have, like, in his Instagram bio that his Muay Thai record is, like, 29-0. So, I mean, overall, he definitely shows that in his fights, with the striking that he has as well as the power that he has. Definitely a primarily striker who if he just works on his wrestling, can definitely be a threat to the entire division. I feel like he definitely does have the biggest gap there because we have seen him get controlled, and as long as you can keep that endurance and that control on him, I feel like you definitely can win a fight against him, and that's what RJ Koken was able to do. But this guy definitely pushes the fight and definitely looks to land damage. And I really like Richie Miranda here too. You know, he's a really good fighter as well, coming from the LFA. Is currently the champion, has defended his belt. He was a big underdog, and he came through as a big underdog in the LFA before. So this guy definitely has proven Vegas wrong, has proven a lot of people wrong. He has that dog in him for sure. I feel like in this fight overall, he does have the better skills because I feel like he does have the grappling advantage and things like that. His striking is pretty decent as well. He is kind of hittable here, though. That's the problem. I feel like he is very hittable, and Manuel Sosa definitely has that damage factor. I feel like punch for punch, Emmanuel Sosa definitely has more of the power. As long as he's able to keep it up on the feet and keep it there, I feel like Emmanuel Sosa can definitely win this fight. If it gets down to the ground, Richard Miranda definitely has, you know, a certain type of skill there for sure. He definitely is skilled on the ground. He's pulled off some good submissions, and he's gotten some good ground control before. We've also seen him get control for 5 rounds, pretty much lose a fight and come back in the 5th round. So another guy that shows that he has some endurance. So overall, this is a pretty good fight. I just feel like Manuel Sosa is going to be able to land the more of the damage in the judges' eyes. You know, Richie Miranda definitely is going to be the guy here to try to mix it up with the grappling and things like that. But I'm pretty sure, I mean, Sosa knows to work on that. He's been working on that. His power is just a lot. The damage that comes from him is a lot. I would definitely love for Miranda to win, especially coming from Bloodline. These are guys that, you know, I've gotten to talk to in the comments, like in my comments. Even Cub Swanson and things like that, you know. In his last fight, I was telling him, like, hey, I know the UFC's going to call you. And he actually replied to me, like, with a fire emoji. So that was pretty cool. You know, I followed this guy's career. I think he's a pretty cool guy. He definitely has the accolades to be in the UFC, and I feel like he definitely is UFC ready. Just for his first bout, giving him Manuel Sosa, it's like, damn, man, this is pretty tough, you know, especially for both guys. You know, this is a pretty tough matchup for both guys. Definitely don't sleep on Miranda here, but I do feel like Sosa is, you know, definitely should be the favorite here. Miranda, as an underdog, is really a good shot because, like I said, he's came through as the underdog. But I just think that Manuel Sosa definitely lands more shots, more damage. Richard Miranda, he does have some decent grappling, but he doesn't really he's not really a high calculated wrestler or anything like that, like a Archie Colgan. So overall, I'm picking Sosa here in this fight, unfortunately. I like Miranda, though. Hopefully he comes back. Hopefully he even gets a win here. But for the pick, you know, all type of emotions aside or not emotionally betting, if I was to bet, I will put my money definitely on Sosa here. Not as a huge favorite, but, you know, I would definitely pick Sosa here for the pick. All right, so next up we have a fucking poop versus fart matchup. We have Jose Montana versus Louis Sutherland. Now, Jose is more primarily of a grappler. Louis Sutherland is a pretty good striker who also does have some pretty decent grappling. If you go back and watch the tape of Jose, you know, he is fighting tomato cans. His one loss was against a guy who got knocked out very bad by Austin Lane. So not trying to use MMA math, but that is a pretty shitty look there. This guy is primarily a grappler. He is gonna want to get the fight down to the ground and be able to try to get control on a guy like Louis Sutherland. Louis Sutherland came into the UFC with some pretty decent hype. Sutherland is a guy that I've seen, honestly, you know, of course, fight more live. I've seen him fight against Babley and against Slim over there in Bellator and PFL. So this is a guy that I've seen more fight. You know, he has UFC experience as well. He has definitely fought the more high-level competition than a guy like Jose. Sutherland does have that knockout power. I mean, even with Walter Walker, he landed a leg kick that pretty much broke Walter Walker's leg. You know, so he's very, very powerful on the feet. I've seen Jose get dropped plenty of times in the fight that he lost, and it was kind of just pulling guard, hoping for the guy to get on top of him. I feel like if he does that here, Louis Sutherland definitely can get on top and kind of, you know, get that control of being such a heavy guy. Who, if you go back and watch that Tai Tuivasa fight, he has some pretty decent grappling. He was able to display that there against a guy who I feel like is very hard to hold down. It's very hard to hold down a guy who's very round and slippery and moving around. And he was able to kind of float on top and be able to keep that control. Now, would I say that Jose is the better grappler? I mean, he might be. Not really proven at any point. Doesn't really have any grappling credentials that I was able to see. So, I mean, he's not really a guy coming in here with, a national BJJ championship or nothing like that I honestly saw. He's kind of a can crusher. And I mean, overall, even though Louis Sutherland isn't the best prospect coming into the UFC at heavyweight, he has showed some pretty good overall skills, has really powerful striking, also is pretty decent on the ground. He has 5 losses on his record, but I would say that honestly it is against pretty decent competition. So in this poop versus fart matchup, give me Louis Sutherland to win this fight. I feel like he definitely can get a finish in this fight. I don't know why the UFC signed a guy like Jose. I think overall this is a pretty good spot for Louis Sutherland to prove that does belong in the UFC and isn't a complete shit can. But of course, anything can happen at heavyweight. I'm not touching this fight at all. I mean, as of right now, I do see that Louis Sutherland is at a minus 190. I definitely understand the favorite status on his side. I'm actually going to be looking at this line throughout the week and see where it moves. But give me Louis Sutherland to win this fight. I think he gets it done in a pretty good fashion. All right, next up, we have Dair Norgajai versus Bruno Lopez. Here in this fight overall, primarily, it's going to be a striking bout. Bruno Lopez is going to be the guy here that's going to want to be able to try to take the fight down and get cage control and things like that. But overall, I do think that Dair is the better striker. Bruno Lopez is coming off of 2 back-to-back KO losses, and all 3 of his losses are by KO. So the chin is definitely there to get hit, and he definitely is, susceptible to getting knocked out. Now, if you look at the career of Dair, his weakness is, of course, going to be the submissions. If you're able to get him down to the ground and you have a decent submission game, you can definitely finish him by submission. And that's how he's lost. So we have one guy on one end that has lost all his fights by submission, and one guy on the other end that has lost all his fights by knockout. I do believe more in the striking of Dair, so I am going to take him here in this fight to be able to defend the wrestling and the takedowns of Bruno Lopez. If Bruno Lopez does get him down, he definitely has a chance of being able to get an arm triangle because he does have, a decent amount of arm triangles on his record. So he has shown some submission threat in the past. Definitely can get it done there, and that definitely could be a sneaky play here. But overall, I am going to go ahead and pick Dair. I think that he's going to be able to catch the chin of Bruno Lopez and hurt him. He has some pretty good head kicks. He's pretty fast on the feet. And overall, I feel like he can even keep the distance here, win the fight, kind of pick Bruno Lopez apart, and eventually break him. So give me Dair here in this fight. I feel like overall he is the better striker. And in the striking match against a guy like Bruno Lopez who, hasn't really shown me that he's UFC level yet, I'm going to go ahead and pick Dair. I feel like here he can definitely get a knockout. Here in this next fight, we do have another exciting bout. I'm excited to see this one as well. We have Steven Asplin versus Gamrot. Here in this fight, I am picking Steven Asplin. I feel like here he is going to be able to apply the pressure and land more shots. Gamrot is a pretty decent striker. He's able to keep the distance really well and kind of pick you apart from the outside. But I feel like Steven is going to make it a dirty fight, and I feel like Gamrot is going to fold under that pressure, and he's going to get outlanded here. Steven Asplin did hurt his leg in the first round of his last fight, as well as did take that fight on short notice as well. So a lot of downsides on that last fight. I don't take that performance into consideration for this one. I have seen him fight and apply that pressure, and I feel like here against Gamrot doesn't really have the big lethal KO shot to be able to knock out a guy like Steven Asplin. So give me Steven Asplin to win this fight, whether it's by a decision if Gamrot chin holds up. But I honestly think that Steven Asplin could definitely overwhelm him in this fight, kind of press forward. He is going to be the heavier guy here, kind of losing his weight against a guy like Gamrot pushing forward. In the smaller cage, Gamrot's going to have an issue kind of trying to keep that distance, honestly. And Steven Asplin, I feel like here, he's just going to land the more shots, be more damaging, land more shots, have the bigger moments here in this fight, be in the better eyes of the judge here in this fight. And I just feel like overall he definitely gets it done. So give me Steven Asplin here in this fight, even though Gamrot is a pretty decent prospect. My problem with him is that he just doesn't push forward as much. He isn't as urgent as a guy like Steven Asplin. And I feel like overall, he doesn't have that one-shot KO power to be able to knock out a guy or even keep, gain the respect from a guy like Steven Asplin. Land that one shot. Vitor Petrino, a very high prospect. I feel like he would definitely finish a guy like Gamrot and, do some damage to him as well. So give me Steven Asplin here. I like him here in this matchup, and this is a great bounce back spot or a bounce back matchup that he should be able to win and still look pretty good doing it. All right, so next up we got Ty Miller versus Billy Ray Goff. In this matchup, I do like Ty Miller a lot. I like how he keeps his boxing very clean. He's a very good kickboxer. Likes to use that range a lot. As you can see here, he's 6'2" with a 77.5-inch reach. So definitely having the reach and height advantage here is definitely in his favor. Don't get me wrong, Billy Ray Goff is a pretty good prospect. You know, he likes to bring that pressure. He makes it a dogfight. He's going to make it very gritty, and he's not going to make it an easy fight for Ty Miller. But overall, I feel like Ty Miller's key to victory is going to be, you know, getting those straight shots going and just get through the chaos of Billy Ray Goff. This is just a fight where I see a clear path to victory for Ty Miller to either get a knockout or even win by decision. But overall, I do feel like he's a lock here. Like I said, all credit to Billy Ray Goff, and I feel like he is a pretty good prospect himself. But just Ty Miller is going to outbox him here. He's going to piece him up, hurt him on the feet. Eventually, I do feel like he can get a knockout here. But overall, Ty Miller, you know, just straight ahead, I feel like he is going to win this fight. Billy Ray Goff doesn't have enough wrestling accolades or even BJJ threat to be able to threaten a guy like Ty Miller. Honestly, I don't think that he's going to just come out here and just become a world-class wrestler. I feel like it's going to be hard to keep a guy like Ty Miller down, and Ty Miller knows that, you know, he has to learn how to defend takedowns. So I feel like he's been working on that a lot. And overall, Ty Miller, he's going to show levels in this fight as far as when it comes down to the striking, and I definitely think he wins this fight. Next up, we have Amanda Lemos versus Alexa Tayanara. And here in this fight, I am picking Tayanara. I think that overall, she's a better all-around fighter. Don't get me wrong. Lemos is definitely not out of this fight. If she could land on the feet and get her takedown defense going, she can definitely win. But she constantly has the same struggles. And honestly, at the age of 39, I don't think there's any changes she's going to be able to make to be able to adjust towards the fighting style of Alexa Tayanara. Tayanara definitely will entertain it a little bit on the feet, and that's where we'll have a little bit worries, honestly, because don't get me wrong. I mean, she got stunned last time by Bruno Brazil in the third round by that spinning head kick or that high kick. You know, I don't forget about shit like that. But overall, she has shown to have a pretty good chin. Doesn't have any knockouts herself, so not really too much of a knockout threat on the feet. But overall, when it gets down to the ground, she definitely is a more superior grappler. And I think her funky style on the feet, mixing it up with the takedowns, are going to overall get her to win this fight. So give me Alexa Tayanara. I feel like Amanda Lemos is not the one to stop this winning streak of what she got going on currently right now. And I like her here to win this fight, whether it's by decision or even by a submission. Submission is definitely possible, but I'm definitely leaning more towards decision because, I mean, she hasn't really been getting a lot of finishes since she's entered the UFC. Even in the Contender Series, she, you know, had a pretty good fight there and won by decision. But overall, give me her to win this fight. I like the money line because I don't know the pure path to victory. If I had, you know, gun to my head, I would pick decision. Next up, we have the retirement fight of Darren Elkins, which is official because I just watched an interview on it, versus Yadir Deval. So in this fight overall, Darren Elkins in his interview has been saying he can't take any more damage. He doesn't want to compete in any type of physical combat anymore. He's agreed with his wife to not do it anymore. And he's taking this fight just because it's a retirement fight on, you know, the last one on his contract. And overall, I feel like he definitely is going to get finished early here. Now, of course, we've had our run-ins with this guy, Deval, where, you know, he had that little suspicious win over Delgarian, and then he had that loss on his next fight, got out-grappled, got pretty much grapple-fucked and controlled for 2 out of the 3 rounds pretty much. If Deval does not win this fight, he 100% should be investigated and sent over to another organization because he definitely did not belong to be in the UFC. Darren Elkins is 42 years old, has had a layoff, and literally is ready to throw his gloves on the ground and give up. Don't get me wrong, he's not a guy that really quits on himself, but he has just age, and unfortunately, Father Time is, you know, the one that definitely defeats a lot of people. The FBI has to be watching, and if Yadir flops this fight, they should definitely arrest his ass and send his ass to somewhere else, definitely not the UFC. Deval should be free, and he should also get a quick finish. Next up, we have Billy Q versus Diego Ferreira. In this fight, this one's kind of hard to pick, and I know that this is the official co-main event. Even though, you know, the bout order is kind of mixed up right now, they're trying to get that all figured out because of some of these new fights. This fight right here is definitely the co-main event, and it's definitely going to be a banger. I don't feel like this one's going to go to decision. Both guys are very dangerous. Billy Q likes to pressure forward. He kind of starts off a little bit slow, and he pressures forward as the fight goes and kind of breaks you down. Diego Ferreira definitely has, You know, some really good, decent, you know, some good grappling, as well as very powerful hands as well. So he can definitely land that one shot. I do like the move for Billy to be coming up to 155. I definitely feel like that'll be to his advantage coming into this fight. I also like that he throws in combinations and likes to push forward. If this fight was a couple of years ago, I honestly would be on Diego Ferreira because overall, I do feel like he has the better wins on his record. And of course, you know, he's had some devastating knockouts and some devastating finishes. Both guys do have a similar record as well. So the experience, I mean, it's pretty much there. I just of course feel like Diego Ferreira has definitely beat the better guys. On the side of Diego Ferreira, my concerns with him is that he's 41, of course, and also that he just is coming off of a devastating knockout. So, you know, coming off of that knockout, being 41 years old, definitely is does draw some concerns. Holy shit, I can't talk. I would personally say that Diego Ferreira is the more well-rounded guy here. Definitely some advantages on the ground because he has that BJJ credentials. But overall, I felt like the pressure of Billy Q, as long as he's able to apply that pressure and it looks good at 155 here, I feel like he can definitely get it done. I don't like the price on Diego Ferreira. I feel like he can definitely, you know, win this fight, of course, but I don't think he should be such a huge favorite and people should be as confident as they are in him. I was actually live in person for Billy Q's last fight where he got knocked out by Cub Swanson. And I mean, he was looking real good until he wasn't. You know, he definitely got caught. That's something that can happen here as well. That's the thing. But Diego Ferreira, man, definitely on the older side. Hard fight to pick, but overall, I like the value in Billy Q here. I can definitely see a world where he wins this fight off of damage and be able to get a stoppage that way. It's so hard, though, to, you know, bet against a guy like Diego Ferreira who definitely has that one-punch knockout power. I just don't agree with him at all being this big of a favorite. Um, I think there's value in Billy Q. I think he can definitely has the path to victory here. Diego Ferreira, definitely a dangerous guy. Really hard pick to fight. I think this should be 50-50 right in the middle as far as the odds go. Give me Billy Q as the underdog here. I like him to win this fight as well. But if I'm being completely honest with you guys, this is a fight where I don't even want to make a pick. I don't even know who I'm truly picking. I'm flopping back and forth. I'm struggling with this shit. But hey, let's pick Billy Q, and let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I would just say, though, real quick, one thing I like on the Ferreira side is that he is training with Asawadi, who kind of has that same type of mimicking style of Billy Q. So definitely could be ready for the style. I just think overall, 155, probably better for Billy Q. I don't know, though. Flip a damn coin. And we got the main event of the evening. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And thank you very much for pulling up on me. I'll make sure to drop more videos for you guys, of course, and get back on my shit. Now, listen, we got Gamrot versus Salkilld here. You know, pretty much a matchup that Salkilld did ask for. And Gamrot, you know, he's pretty decent for taking this fight because he didn't have to take a fight like this. He has fought way better competition, I would say. And, of course, has beat better guys than a guy like Salkilld. But I do have my concerns. Like, first of all, let's talk about it. What the fuck's going on with his nose? Because his nose got, like, a little bandage on it. And I saw it looked like somebody already hit his shit. So he's already coming into this fight damaged. Red flag. Salkill's out here partying and shit. I mean, that might be the base to MMA because, I mean, we've seen John Jones do it. We've seen Sterling do it. We've seen all these guys having fun, having parties, doing all these partings and coming out and kicking ass. So, I mean, that might be a good thing, man. So many things going on in this fight. I'm like, what the fuck? And we got Gamrot versus Salkilld. Salkilld here, he has been displaying some knockout power here. He can definitely damage Gamrot here. Gamrot's gonna try to get that control time and stay on him and kind of melt Salkilld and tire him out. I just feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like, especially being 26 years old, that Salkilld is not gonna tire out, man. I feel like he definitely can get a finish throughout this fight. He's definitely live to get a finish at any moment throughout this fight for sure because, I mean, he's just shown to have that comeback power. Gamrot doesn't really have power on the feet. He's not really too much of a threat. Yes, he did submit Esteban Ribovics, but I mean, you could have seen that shit coming from a mile away. I mean, Esteban is not good at all at defending whenever it comes down to being on the ground. Salkilld definitely has a higher level of BJJ knowledge whenever it comes down to that than a guy like Esteban Ribovic. So definitely a different matchup here. Also, you know, the height and reach difference, we're talking about a 75-inch reach compared to a 70-inch reach, and then a 6-foot tall guy versus a 5'10" guy. It's going to be hard for him to close the distance without catching anything down the middle, going down for them takedowns. he called for this fight, I feel like he definitely can win this fight. If the line does continue to sway towards the way to Salkilld, there definitely is value on a guy like Gamrot, because at the end of the day, he is a veteran. He has gone, you know, plenty of rounds. He does have the skills. He definitely is a guy that can definitely, you know, make light work of these guys that are lower in the rankings. It just overall, I feel like this is a hard stylistic matchup for him. Salkilld is just on a streak. You know, right now Gamrot's on a win-loss. He's 35 years old, definitely at the, you know, not at the tail end of his career just yet, because he hasn't been showing any signs of slowing down. But this is definitely going to be a test for both guys. You know, Gamrot does struggle with these type of guys and makes it very close fights with these type of guys. Salkild's on a hot streak, younger guy, 26 years old, still has time to make improvements. Definitely has his flaws throughout his game, but overall, I mean, he's shown up every single fight. I have been flopping back and forth on this one all week to see who I'm going to pick. I am going to go with the side of Salkilld, though. I feel like he can definitely get it done here in this fight. I know the fight is 5 rounds, and he's never been 5 rounds and things like that. We can go on and on about shit like that. But at the end of the day, it's a fight. It could be 5 rounds, 10 rounds, whatever the fuck. Doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I feel like in a fight, if these two guys were to meet in the street and these guys were to fight, I feel like Salkilld is definitely the guy to come out with the victory. And that's who I'm going to pick to win in the octagon as well. I feel like, you know, he's definitely going to be able to scramble here, keep it safe. If it's on the feet, he definitely has the power advantage and the striking advantage. That's not in question at all. And I mean, Gamrot's not going to be able to just take this guy down and smash him and hold him down. I really don't see him being able to do that here this fight. So give me Salkilld to win this fight. There's definitely value on the underdog here in this fight. You know, if the line continues to sway towards the way of Quinlan, because, of course, he does have less experience. He's not tested at this level. But I feel like here, he can definitely pass the test, work his way up the rankings. I don't feel like Gamrot's the guy to hold his hype that he has right now and hold everything he has going on. Give me Salkilld to win this fight, and I'd like him to win. And y'all let me know what y'all think about this card. I think this card is pretty decent. We have some pretty good prospects on here. Some good, exciting fights. This is in the smaller cage, so you know we're about to get some action. Can we beat the record of last week with all the finishes? I don't think so, but fuck it. Hey, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Let's go ahead and make sure that we run this video up. I'm going to make sure to drop more videos for you guys. Man, I'm sorry, man. I just got a new job. My work schedule been all fucked up. But hey, we're going to get back to it. We're going to get back to making these videos. I hope you guys liked the video. And once again, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And peace out. Good night, guys.